Welcome in, everyone, and thank you for listening to the 104th ever episode of the Missouri Sports Podcast, brought to you by 106 Apparel and recording from the Revel Advertising Studio in beautiful Springfield, Missouri. I'm one of your hosts, Cameron Albert, alongside my good friend and fellow Mizzou fan, Kyle DeVries. How are you doing today, Kyle?
I'm great today, Cameron. How are you?
I'm doing really well. You want to elaborate?
What was that look you just gave me?
I was just happy that the AC turned off when you started talking.
That was perfect timing.
Yeah, if it'll stay off for the whole episode, that'd be great.
Absolutely. Cam, we're in like no man's land of the sports universe, aren't we?
Well, we were supposed to have basketball, but the NBA playoffs are being postponed.
Currently boycotted.
So we'll see how that plays out.
No postseason football at the moment. No college football for a little while.
Yeah. No what? Postseason
football? No postseason football.
Did I really say that?
Yeah. What did you mean to say?
NFL.
You're talking about soccer?
No, I meant to say preseason.
Preseason. Oh, yeah.
Gosh, man.
No postseason soccer or preseason football Americano.
All of this abstinence from sports is messing with my brain.
It'll do that.
Clearly.
Yeah. That's a condition. What have you been up to?
Working. Been very busy at work the last couple of weeks with I work at a college, so we have been extremely busy with classes starting last week, so but I guess that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But
Conzo Martin has been busy.
Yes, he has.
Since we last spoke, he secured not one, but 2 commitments for the basketball team. So we will talk about that. But first, let me remind everybody to subscribe to us on YouTube, if you don't mind. We're putting all these episodes up there. And if you're listening to us on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, please make sure you're subscribed, because we can see that like 25% of people that listen to us on Apple Podcasts aren't actually subscribed to us. So if you could subscribe, that would be very helpful. Other than that, we do have a little bit of news to talk about, football-related news. Mizzou quarterback commit Tyler Macon picked up a 4th star according to, was it Rivals?
Yes.
So we knew that was coming based on his Elite 11 performance and just because he's really good.
Yeah, Missouri's 21 class is looking very promising, and I mean, not that this really changes anything because we already knew that it looked promising, but it's getting the respect from some of the national analysts and stuff, which is never a bad thing.
And there were a few interesting quotes that came out of Eli Drinkwitz's most recent press conference. You said that he was really high on the defensive secondary.
Yeah, we've been hearing a lot of good things this fall camp from the cornerbacks. I think there's going to be a lot of competition for who gets a lot of those snaps this year. Honestly, we lost DeMarcus AC. We lost
other players also.
Christian Holmes to transfer. So 2 players who were getting a majority of the snaps last year, but we returned Jarvis Ware. We returned Adam Sparks. Stacey Brown's more of a safety, but I would not be surprised to see Ennis Rakestraw probably even get some snaps. So there is a lot of capable players, and it seems like it's been a little while since we've really had a pretty dependable backfield and safety and cornerback room. So that would be really exciting to see.
Yeah, and the safeties are going to be a strong suit. We knew that coming in. Anything else football related before we jump into these basketball commits?
That's it.
So we talked 3 episodes ago, episode 101. Go back and take a look if you want. We recapped the players that Mizzou is still interested in for the 2021 class, and we took a quick look ahead at the 2022 class. And we said that we thought Kaleb Brown was going to end up at Missouri, and this past week he decided to make it official. And that was kind of a surprise that it happened so soon with his offer list. And we can say this something similar about Sean Durugordon, who we'll get to in a minute, but Kaleb Brown seemed like he could maybe benefit from playing out his senior year and seeing what other offers came along, especially if he was interested at all in staying home in the state of Alabama.
Yeah, his father has made a few comments like, don't assume that Caleb's going to go to Mizzou just because Kobe's there. And, I think I even read an interview recently where a month ago he was really leaning towards some other schools. And I don't know if I really buy that. I kind of feel like Caleb just was destined to go to Mizzou from the very get-go. And, I think that, like what you just said, supports that he's ready to make that commitment. He's ready to claim that's where he's going. And, we talked about Kobe Brown having a really strong start at Mizzou. He had a good freshman season, got a lot of playing time. You can really see a path to more playing time and more development. Seems like the kind of guy that would like Konzo's coaching style. So it was just kind of a no-brainer that Kaleb was going to end up at Mizzou, in my opinion.
Yeah. We basically said as much a few weeks ago when we broke down the full prospect list. But I'm pretty excited to get him on board. I think he'll obviously be more of a developmental prospect. He's not even ranked on any of the recruiting sites. I don't think he even contributes to Missouri's class score on 24/7 right now.
Yeah, not at the moment.
So maybe a diamond in the rough situation a few years from now, hopefully. But he has, without the recruiting rankings or any of the hype, he has what you're looking for in a guard in 2020, especially what Konzo Martin's looking for. Kind of a hard-nosed defender, a guy that can defend multiple positions, big guard, and he's kind of where Kobe Brown's kind of in between a wing and a forward, more of a power forward.
Yeah, Kobe's a little bit taller. I think he's got 2 or 3 inches on his brother.
Caleb's more of that in between a wing and a guard.
Yeah.
Between a wing and a ball handling guard.
Yeah, if you watch videos of Kaleb, he looks very similar to Kobe.
Mm-hmm.
Just you can tell they're obviously brothers.
Yeah.
But, they do actually have a little bit of different style when they play. And exactly like you said, Kaleb, he plays point guard for his high school team. He plays like he's 6 foot tall. And, he can really move pretty well. He's an excellent passer, has a great court vision. He still has some work to do on his shot, I would say. But he really does possess very strong like guard like skills, and he's young, and so he's going to have a lot of time to develop. But he doesn't probably look college ready with his body doesn't look college ready at the moment. But I think he'll get there. And I probably could have said the same thing for Kobe too whenever he first came in, and I think he made a lot of progress in the weight room and all that stuff whenever in his first year. So
yeah, Kobe was definitely a little bit further along as far as his body being college ready. I was just thinking that those two probably would make a really tough 2-on-2 duo with their size and quickness for their size. And if Caleb's matched up against a more traditional guard, even at the college level, I could see him, if he has a little bit more polished shot when he's actually, has the green light to take shots, just being able to shoot over smaller guards at the college level will be a pretty good asset.
Yeah. All right, in a game of 2-on-2, you and me versus Kaleb and Kobe Brown. We're playing to 10. Do we get to 1? Or 2? Maybe.
I don't think so. If they were really locked in and playing solid defense, it would be like back up a few steps behind the 3-point line and just heave it, I think.
Exactly. If we're playing make it, take it, and they have the ball first, I'm not sure we ever get the ball.
No. Most certainly not. We would just have to hope that they miss shots.
Yeah.
But I don't know how we score. That's not a very pretty picture. Maybe a few years ago when you and I were slightly more athletic than we are today.
Yeah, the last few years have not been great for my physical development.
Kyle, we're supposed to be entering our athletic prime right now.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
If we were in the NFL, we'd be, getting ready for peak season and be coming off of fantasy draft boards.
We'd be going into our 3rd contract. We'd be making that big money.
And in some alternate universe, maybe that's happening. All right, let's get back on topic here. Kaleb Brown. Anything else you want to say about him?
Not really. Just like you said, developmental prospect. It's going to be several years before we really see if he's going to contribute, but I think that day will come. It just may take a while.
Yep. All right. Then, just today, right?
Mm-hmm.
We got news of a commitment from Sean Durugordon. He is a 3-star wing from New York, New York, and he chose Missouri over a final 7 of Arizona State, Auburn, Georgia, Seton Hall, and VCU. And I think originally he announced that he was going to make a decision and then moved it up, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, I think he was going to announce Friday, like 2 days from now.
Yeah. So moved it up a little bit. He is 110% committed.
Always nice to have that extra little 10% boost.
That extra 10% really locks it in.
Absolutely. You know, when we talked about Sean Durugordon on our kind of recruiting roundup episode maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, we legitimately had no idea what was in store for him. He hadn't named a top 8 yet, so it happened very quickly. He named his top 8, and he committed within a week after that. So it's moved very quickly, and it's been very exciting. You know, it feels like a really long time to where we've landed a recruit that wasn't like a no-brainer, kind of like Kaleb Brown or something like that. But a name we've known for a little while, a name that's exciting, and seems like we actually had to battle out some other schools to land him.
Yeah. 2 other SEC schools in there in Auburn and Georgia. And a little bit more about Sean. He's a 6'7" forward. And he is ranked 237th in the nation and the number 5 player in the state of New York. The crystal ball predictions started rolling in for him shortly after he announced that he was making a decision soon. And so that's always good when you start seeing those come in. And then we got the Conzo drinking coffee gif or video on all the social media.
His first feature cast was actually for Georgia a few days ago, and so that was obviously okay. But those kind of all started flipping in the last couple of days, and all good news from there.
So I think we're looking at another developmental player. I think that's kind of what this class is going to be, though. I mean, I guess we'll get to that in just a minute, but he has a really long wingspan. He's really athletic. He looks like, just from looking at his shot mechanics and videos, it looks like it's a repeatable motion that can turn into a consistent contributor from the three-point line at the college level. Other than that, he needs to put on some weight in the weight room. I think to really succeed in college, he's going to have to become a dynamic offensive threat. I think he looks like a type of guy who could guard multiple positions and lead a team defensively, as an upperclassman. But I don't know. I think in this class, if Anton Brookshire turns into the player offensively that we think he can be, maybe we don't need that extra scoring punch from the wing, or it can come from somebody else. But I think we're definitely a few years out from seeing him be able to contribute offensively.
Yeah, I agree that I feel pretty strongly that Sean's going to be able to come in and contribute right away, but not on the offensive end. I think truly I think you said 6'6", 6'7", but like a 7-foot wingspan legitimately. Right. And you can tell when you watch his films, his arms are very long. And that, I think, will be very beneficial for him, kind of clogging the passing lanes and getting out on the perimeter and guarding shots and stuff like that. I think that he has the ability to be an elite defender, and if he really comes in and works hard, I think that he can contribute right away just defensively. His shot probably will need some work. That's probably not something that's going to happen immediately. But just kind of like we talked about with Kobe Brown last year when he was coming in, just somebody who can guard the perimeter and bang around down low and get rebounds and get putbacks and that kind of stuff. He's clearly a guy that will be able to do that, I think, from the start.
So he and Kaleb join Anton Brookshire, 3 traditional recruits that make up the 2021 class so far. We talked in episode 101 about Yaya Kita being more of a forward / big man erring on that side of the forward position. I think that would be the perfect end to the 2021 class if he were to come along, and that would still, and that's excluding getting in a graduate transfer or a traditional transfer or something like that. But do you think this is it for the 2021 class as far as high school will be seniors are concerned?
I think we'll land one more, and I couldn't tell you who it is. I think it'll probably Tamar Bates just announced on Twitter just a few minutes ago that he's going to be announcing his decision soon. I don't know how soon, but I don't think it's going to be Missouri. You mentioned Yaya Kita.
Tamar Bates did get a crystal ball prediction to Texas.
You were correct. Zach Hicks is still out there. Haven't really heard much about him lately, but he's still a guy I think that Missouri can get if they want him.
Maybe, though, he's just now been recruited over when you look at...
That's very possible. They play this similar position, yeah. I think that Missouri will probably bring in 4 freshmen, and then their other 2 and maybe 3 scholarships if Xavier Pinson leaves early will probably be with traditional transfers or grad transfers.
Do you think... I don't know. Do you think they're looking... Do you think they would take another wing in this class, or do you think they are definitely looking big man post-centric?
I think they would, because if you look at who they recruited, it's all those like kind of forward wing tweener type sized players. So I definitely think they would love to land another long athletic wing.
Yeah, surely they're not offering Durugordon, Zach Hicks, Legend Geeter, among others, only to know that they're only going to take one of those guys.
Yeah. I think they'd love to get another similar player to Sean Durugordon.
All right, so now I've seen on Twitter, we talked about, again, in episode 101, just kind of the way that Mizzou basketball recruiting has been going over the past year or so, and how it has been pretty bleak at times. Now with 3 commitments for the 2021 class, where are you at? I mean, this is quite a bit different from where we were 3 weeks ago when we talked about it. Now, having pretty close to a complete class. Obviously, we would expect them to sprinkle in a transfer of some kind, as well as maybe another traditional high school player. So does this change for you at all, kind of where your head was at 3 weeks ago when we talked about it?
Not really. I still don't think that we've necessarily, landed any like true difference makers. Definitely we've maybe started to build that road towards an attitude change from me and maybe from the fan base. I definitely think the fan base was excited about landing Sean today. I think that was definitely a pick-me-up that we needed. But probably we're going to need some more things to fall our way to really have our perception change. And that may not be able to change until we see actual wins on the basketball court. And if we're able to have a good season and kind of maybe have the recruiting class land a couple more members, I think that's when you'll really see attitudes change. But this is kind of an all or nothing season. We have a lot of leadership, a lot of talent on this team. Things didn't go great last year, but I think we have the players to have a good season and make the tournament. It kind of has to happen this year, and because if you think about all the talent we're losing after this season, it's not pleasant to think about.
And the competition in the SEC is not slowing down.
That's exactly right. And like you said, a lot of our recruiting, a lot of the prospects coming in this year will probably be on the more developmental side, if you will. Mm-hmm. So it's not like we have a bunch of like instant starters coming in to replace the talent that's leaving. So, I definitely am not like thinking that everything's going to be all sunshine and rainbows from here. But was this a good step in that direction? Sure.
Yeah, I think the problem for me is we're looking at a lot of players with potential, and I still think of these 3, Anton Brookshire has the most potential to lead a team or be a star at the college level. And I guess what I keep coming back to is previous recruits just not getting it done, and the development hasn't been there where, I don't look at this recruiting class and go, okay, yeah, I can model that after a previous recruiting class that we've seen develop over a few years and be successful. Now, I know Konzo's only in his 3rd season, but because of that first year was the Porter brothers and Cassius Robertson. And I kind of always lump Jordan Barnett in there too, because obviously he had been at Mizzou already, but it was like those 4 guys were going to make that team.
Yeah.
And they all were gone, more or less, in very different ways, in unexpected ways. They were all gone after that first season. And so we've seen Jeremiah Tillman develop, and it has not been what we really wanted out of that after 3 seasons. We've seen Mark Smith. You can kind of put him into that, if we can basically just imagine that he had been at Mizzou 3 seasons.
Yeah.
And would we be super excited about what we've seen so far? Maybe, probably not.
Yeah. The staff's track record with development so far does not exactly instill confidence.
But they also haven't necessarily been going for that yet.
Yeah.
And there's still time to see that work in Torrance Watson, Javon Pickett, and maybe we are starting to see that more in Xavier Pinson. But at this point, Pinson seems like the outlier, not what we can depend on seeing for years to come.
For sure. Whenever I think of Sean Durugordon, he reminds me so much of a player that Conzo Martin had at Tennessee. His name is Jordan McRae, and almost the identical body type, like 6'6" with like a 7-foot wingspan. And Jordan McRae ended up being like an all SEC player by the time he left his senior year, and he ended up getting drafted. But, he was not, I don't think, a super big-time recruit coming out of high school, and took some time to develop. And that, I feel like that would be a wonderful thing for Sean Durugordon to kind of model his career into, is just being an elite defender and just being a winner and helping his team win games and doing whatever is asked of him. He probably won't ever be that guy that scores 20 a game or anything like that, but you never really know. I think that I can see a path that Sean becomes an elite player in the SEC, just with his athletic ability and his body. I think there's a lot of room to grow into his body. So a long time to go, as I classically and very on brand thing from me to say, but truly there is a very long time to go.
Yeah. And when I try to project out, obviously we've talked about this being kind of a make or break year for Conzo on the court. I kind of hoped that there would be something going on in recruiting that would make us think, well, even if the on-court success still isn't quite where we want it to be, maybe we run it back and win 18 games and just miss the NCAA bubble. Maybe there'd be something going on in recruiting to look forward to and think, well, add these players into the mix and develop these players the right way. But it's just it's a stretch right now that if this upcoming season doesn't yield an NCAA tournament appearance, I can't project out a starting lineup that makes the NCAA tournament for 3 seasons.
Yeah. It's a dark hole potentially if we don't make the NCAA tournament this year. I agree. It may not be a while. It may be a while is what I meant to say.
Yeah. And it needs to be done in a way where we're seeing significant contributions from young players.
Right.
I mean, we're going to need to see Kobe Brown and Javon Pickett, Torrance Watson kind of take that next step so that we can see, yes, they're ready to be the guys that could bring them back here the next year.
Yeah, there truly is like a lot riding on Kobe Brown. He's kind of kind of he's going to have to be the journeyman a little bit.
Well, but Trey Jackson should have been there with him.
I agree.
And then between the two of them, I think it's not as big of an ask. And
yeah,
I think it would have been okay. Obviously, that's not how it turned out. And we'll see, obviously Trey Jackson moved on to Seton Hall, where he'll probably be pretty successful.
If Conzo lands Tamar Bates somehow, then yeah, you got my attention. I think that is probably about the only realistic thing that could happen before the season, where I'm like, okay, things I've changed my mind. But until then, I think I just really need to see the on-court performance change.
Yeah, Jordan Wilmore coming in and, scoring 10 points per game and grabbing 8 rebounds per game, that would change my mind too.
I agree.
Something like that happening during the season.
That would truly that would be remarkable. I would be ecstatic if we were able to.
If they truly pulled a diamond out of the rough there.
Yeah. If he was somehow some kind of instant contributor, I do not see it, just for the record. But if that did happen, I would be ecstatic.
Yeah. It's all going to be up to Drew Smith and Xavier Pinson, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right.
I'm not afraid.
Which I believe in those guys. I really do, and I'm super happy that they're on my team for sure. But we're going to need a little bit more from some other guys, I think.
Yeah. Well, Kyle, was there any other news? Anything else basketball related? We can make this a short episode.
I think it's going to be pretty quick.
Producer Cameron will be happy.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll have some more nuggets from fall camp next week to talk about.
And we'll schedule out our real season previews and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we're going to be in September next time we record. So starting to really get close. Hopefully we actually have some college football to watch this year.
Yep. All right, everyone. Short episode. Get that watch time up there for us. That percentage watch time. This is not a big ask. So.
All right, everybody. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts. We're on Twitter and Instagram at Mizzou Sports Pod, and you can email us if you like.
You can do it.
And our email address is...
You got it.
I don't remember. Missouri or Mizzou Sports Pod or
Which
podcast.
Is it?
I don't know. Missouri.
Missouri Sports Pod.
There you go, producer Cameron. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thank you everyone for listening. MissouriSportsPod@gmail.com. We will see you next week after a win.